to present an update from the Committee for Equity. As you all know, several years ago, this board instituted an ad hoc committee to look at equity in our schools. The committee was composed of educators, business people. Actually, we had who is now a board member, a former non-board member on the committee as well. And we met several times, and the committee was charged with coming up with some ways to promote equity in our school system. As I said, we met several times, and we came up with 4 broad categories that the committee wanted the school system to focus on in regards to equity. The first was to look at our curriculum. The second was to focus on leadership. The third was professional development. And finally, it was relationships. Since that time, we as a school system have tried to follow through and address each of these areas in various ways. So I'm going to go through each of these individually and just let you know what we've done. Curriculum. The goal was to integrate cultural education into the classroom. Some of the steps that we have taken, we have instituted an African American history class at Science Hill High School. I believe this year, Mr. Carter, was the second year of that class, and the response to it was very good. We've actually increased the number of sessions of that class. So the response has been good. We have had our second teacher there. The first teacher moved on to teach overseas, but we hired a gentleman to come in and replace him, and I think he's been very well done a good job in that position, and it's been well received. The second, during our K-12 ELA adoption this year, one of the important selection criteria was an attention to cultural and racial diversity. I know that Dr. Anderson and some of our other administrators felt like that was a very important part of the criteria for our ELA adoption, and so they included that as one of the factors to consider. Dr. Timms has been working with our system-wide librarians, and they have a newly revised library media handbook, and it includes a specific plan for collection diversity in our collections. So again, that's a very important part of that document. And then we have tried to make sure that all of our media centers have displays that reflect the cultural diversity throughout the school year. We've had displays on Black History Month, Hispanic Heritage Month, and Native American Heritage Month, just to name a few. Leadership. The committee's goal was to employ more minorities in leadership roles, whether it was admin, teachers, or counselors. And in response to that, we have added a teaching as a profession class at Science Hill High School. Both the state and our teacher education programs have really had a focus on grow your own. I know you've heard that from the State Board of Education and throughout the state, that we're really trying to increase teachers, and especially minority teachers, by growing our own. So in response to that, we added the teaching as a profession class. Again, that's in its second year, and that's at the CTE building, and it has been extremely well received. We have hired 2 minority candidates in assistant principal positions. We are going to be filling another assistant principal position and also a principal position, and we are hoping that we will have some great minority candidates for those positions as well. Just this summer, we've hired an African American counselor at Indian Trail Middle School, and she happens to be one of those that we grew ourselves. She's a graduate of Science Hill High School, so we're excited about that. We have hired one of our own African American teachers for a leadership position as an instructional coach. And then we have also established the Langston Leadership Club at Science Hill. Professional development. The goal was to train all staff on diversity and cultural issues. We have had several book studies throughout the system. Why are all the Black kids sitting together in the cafeteria? Another book, Culture, Class, and Race. Then we, as a administrative team last year, did CAST, The Origins of Our Discontent. We've had a group do Push Out, the criminalization of Black girls in schools. This summer, we're looking at From Behaving to Belonging, the inclusive art of supporting students who challenge us. And also, we've had a book study on Stamped, Racism, Anti-Racism, and You. We've also done something that I know many of our teachers and our administrators have worked on. We have developed our own diversity modules, and all staff throughout the system from top to bottom are required to review this module along with some others on a yearly basis. And we actually have a short clip of that to show you all. That's just a short clip from our diversity module. And I must really commend Dr. Timms and his group for doing that module. If you'd ever had to watch the one we had before, this one is 100 times better, and it's focused on our schools and our students. So it's really a step in the right direction. And finally, oh yeah, that was it. The last of the 4 areas was relationships, and the goal was to increase interactions between people of different cultures and ethnicities. We do have a number of our administrative staff that participate in the local Black-White dialogue on a regular basis. We also are in partnership with the First Tennessee Development District, and Lottie Ryans is the director of that organization. We've partnership with them to produce a recruiting video that highlights minority teachers in our region. We're doing this along with Kingsport City Schools, Greenville City Schools. There's one other school system, and I can't remember, Bristol City Schools and our school system. And actually one of our own teachers is highlighted in this video. The idea behind it is to recruit minority teachers to the region, not just to Johnson City Schools, but to the First Development District. Lottie brought 2 young women to speak to us. They both were from historically Black colleges and universities, and to speak to us and tell us about their, when they moved to the Tri-Cities, about what they loved about it and what a great place it was to be. And so we're trying to, as a region, attract more teachers of color so that it gives us a better opportunity to hire those. We also, with this group, have an outreach to the Thurgood Marshall College Fund in regard to recruiting. Right now, we're looking at recruiting at Tuskegee, NCAT&T, and another HBCU that Lottie was going to identify, but she hasn't done that yet. So that's in the process. Really, really excited about those opportunities. And we're also in dialogue with the Man Up Teacher Fellowship. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but I think Ms. Treese and I were on a Zoom meeting with Dr. Washington. And that's a nonprofit organization that gives students access to high quality male teachers. I've been in contact with them, and we actually tentatively have a meeting set for tomorrow afternoon at 2:00 with Dr. Barnett and I to meet with the administration of that group to bring some male teachers to this area as well. So any questions? Oh, 5-year plan. And I know LaDawn mentioned this. She served on the 5-year plan, as did Ms. Treese. And basically a lot of what the 5-year plan the recommendations we have for the 5-year plan kind of mirror what we're doing, what the equity committee has been doing. Okay.